you need to sacrifice 255 armor rings and 255 health rings. That's 500 hours of time invested, right? I had magical helmet, shield, armor, boots, weapon, all 6 prop enchanted, all right? And I'm not going to say I farmed all those rings. I definitely invested gold into those rings, but regardless, I was committed. I had all these items, and I'd been kind of doing all my farming with this guy that was in a party with me. We would go around, we would farm, and we were buddies, and we killed a bunch of ogres together and killed a bunch of wizards together. And then one day, we're off in the woods somewhere, and he's like, "Hey, come over here. Let me show you this cool secret place that I found." And I go over to this cool little secret place, and it's getting really dark because there's real time changes as it gets darker. And then at the darkest point of the night, your screen goes pitch black. And as soon as the screen goes pitch black, I hear this bzzz, and I hear, "Oh," from my guy dying. And I knew exactly what had happened. This guy had betrayed me. And when I spawned, I come up on the square with none of my gear. It was all gone. And the guy runs past. I'm just like, and I closed the game, and I uninstalled it. I never played it again.
It's always wonderful hearing your story because you work it up so well, right? You explain how long it takes to get all your stuff. And don't get me wrong, I do feel bad for you.
It was
But at the same point, it's just, it sucks, man.
There's a similar story like that out there in the StarCraft universe about Naniwa.
I've never heard of this.
Where Naniwa may or may not have been involved in a similar story, and he may or may not have been on my side of the story.
Really?
He may or may not have been on the other side.
Yeah. I heard of that. The Diablo one, right?
Yeah. Anyway, Neeb versus Enderr has just begun, so let's go ahead and hop into game where we can see spawning the top half of Polar Knight, the blue Zerg player, representing Imperium. It is Enderr. Caviar Napoleon is the name of Enderr, which is one of the greatest names I have ever heard in my life.
Top 10. NA.
In fact, the next time I play D&D with our office group and I make a character, I'm going to name him Caviar Napoleon in honor of Enderr.
That would be awesome.
Down in the bottom half of the map, the red Terran player, he is Neeb.
Mind if I roll Neeb?
Alex Sunderhoft.
I swear, I really thought it was that, but...
The joke me and Roddy like to make is he plays so fast, he'll run by and he'll go, Neeb, Neeb. Like
yeah, I've heard you guys many of times to do that.
Anyhow, Depot finishing up here for Mr. Neeb. He looks like he's going to be playing a standard opening. There's that Rax going down, and we're going to be looking to see if he takes a gas, which would hint at a Reaper, or if he goes gasless, which would hint at a fast expansion, and it is in fact going to be the gas. So likely to be a Reaper opening. Enderr is going to scout this. And then what?
Nothing much. I mean, it's very standard play so far. He sees that it's a barracks first. What you really want to check for with that first drone is whether or not it's going to be a command center first, whether or not it's going to be barracks. Both of which have very different responses to. The main timings you want to look at is the 6:30 and 7-minute mark, where 6:30, if you're going barracks first, that's when 2 Hellions will pop out. 7 minutes, if you're going command center first, that's when 2 Hellions will pop out. So it really just gives you the ability to place your gases, place your injects a lot more correctly, because if there's a lot of gas openings now that will probably be used 3 minutes. You're going to see a gas pop down, or 3 minutes 10 seconds, and that is for the Zerg. That
there you go.
And
right
it's necessary. Cue. Well, I shouldn't say necessary, but it's considered necessary, so you can put some counter aggression and force back the Reapers in the early
It's also the only way that you can ever secure your third base, because if you don't have link speed,
that's right,
you're not going to be able to chase Hellions off, you're not going to be able to deal with Reapers, and obviously if there's things that you can't stop from being on the map, then you can't do things like take bases, which require you to also be out on the map.
Especially on Polar Knight, which has such a far third base for the Zerg or the Terran. And I would think that the mid-right position is going to be taken for the Zerg. And you can see just the distance between the natural and that position is just so extremely far. But
I've really come to like this map, to be honest with you. Just the whole geography of the map, the way it's set up, the way that you've got this cool base tucked away in the back there for a fourth.
It's like the most underused base ever, and it should be used so much more in ZVT. Or in all matchups.
It's a fun map to play. I like the way it plays out. It feels very good to me. And a lot of people used to dislike the map because the weather effect caused weird frame rate issues. But now that Blizzard has removed that weather effect, we're actually seeing some very nice games on Polar Night. I'm excited to have it in the map pool.
I think so. A lot of Zerglings out in the early stage. I'm actually very surprised. Their command center is going to be thrown down.
Seeing, yeah. 8 lings is unusually high for
it's just
early game.
4 more than what we're used to seeing, but maybe you just felt like you definitely had to defend against something like that. I don't know.
Yep, if there's a second and a third Reaper, sometimes you want to have those extra lings just as a safety precaution, but we don't have that this time. Command centers are finishing up here for Neeb as he is dropping that 3rd CC up in the main base, and that's going to immediately be scouted by Enderr. That's a great Overlord. Able to determine exactly what he's up against. And look at this, Andre. Maybe this is the reason that we're seeing 8 lings.
Makes so much sense. This is going to be the 4th base location still, because the 3rd base, no way he can break him down fast enough. Look at how slow. Look at that armor on the rocks. It's 3 armor, man. Just brutal.
Hardened material. I thought it said hardened shields for a second.
If anything, it would say building armor.
If only.
Man, could you imagine building armor on those rocks? 5 armor.
Lings would never kill them.
Never. Absolutely
Until
never.
they got upgrades.
It'd be like the temples back on Medusa.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm talking about.
The stacked temples.
Yeah.
That Archons killed really fast.
And fire bats.
Yep. And siege tanks.
Those are the days, Ben.
I was watching Tasteless stream Brood War the other day.
How was that? I saw it on Reddit.
Dude, he's got skills. Of course he does. He's still got it. I was actually surprised at the level he was playing.
Pro gamer, man.
Way better. He was way better than I ever was, obviously. Neeb using those early lings to try and do a little bit of damage. And the great thing about building supply depots is that they cannot be repaired. These lings are going to break through. And a little bit of damage is going to get dealt here. So this is nice, a little bit of harassment. A few SCVs are going to go down.
Definitely worth it. Definitely.
125%.
Holy moly.
Even...
It's 8 SCVs dead so far, Ben.
And a couple more good falls. Lings are not going to manage to make it up into the main base. Actually pulling the Hellions back home, too, which is unfortunate here for Neeb, as Enderr has dealt a critical early game blow.
And this is exactly what you were talking about,
economy. Yep.
With the Zergling Baneling attack, except he didn't get Banelings, obviously, but it still worked because he didn't have the bunker there. Terrans are playing so greedy, trying to put that 3rd command center down and all the barracks before any bunkers start up. That is a big, big thing that you have to abuse Terrans for. You have to circulate some of these built in there that really punishes any greedy Terrans.
And actually, we're going to see a follow-up piece of aggression here. Roaches are going to come forward. They're not going to be able to break through that depot, but they can kill a lot more SCVs.
Yep.
Or they can, yeah, there they go. They're going to start focusing down some SCVs. Is this attack as worth it? Hard to say. But at the end of the day, it keeps these Hellions out off the map. It buys Enderr more time to drone. He's at 47 drones against 33 SCVs. And actually, streaming across with more and more lings is going to do a lot of damage to these Hellions. Hellions might get trapped. I don't know if lings are going to dance back, not willing to stick around.
Unfortunately, Neeb not keeping up. He was actually so far behind with his upgrades. He should have started them a lot sooner. Those engineering bays definitely finished, but
this is exactly what I was talking about, Andre. The choice of a Zerg player to sacrifice a little bit of earlier game economy, to apply a little bit of pressure and just kind of upset the balance of the game, upset the tempo a little bit. Neeb now much more hesitant to send these Hellions out on the map. He doesn't know what's coming next. And Enderr has absolutely exploited this to go up to 60 drones. 60 drones against 39 SCVs. This is a great economic position, much better than 50 drones against 40 or 50 drones against 50 if he hadn't killed 12 SCVs.
But the opportunity cost will be the 13-minute mutas. You're going to see much, much later mutas instead of having him at 11 minutes or 12 minutes. Also the potentially, no, not the upgrades. I think it's just the mutas and the centrifugal hooks, which they do represent a lot.
Big fan of the play I'm seeing here out of Enderr. His creep spreads are fantastic already, using 2 queens dedicated to that. He's got in total 5 queens out on the map. He has cleared out this hatch, or this rock, and he's going to immediately be taking a hatchery there. And he's not even dropped a spire. He's just going to go with a focus on purely Zergling Baneling right now. And this is awesome. It means he's going to have a lot more gas to commit to pure aggression versus committing it to things like harassment, because mutas are not a pure aggressive unit, unfortunately.
We should be seeing Glio Reconstitution pop up pretty soon, though. Zergling Baneling is not the way you want to go at this stage, but maybe he's just trying to catch his opponent off guard.
Maybe he could have taken that fight. Maybe not. Doesn't want to fight under the
risky.
effects of stim, and now he's going to kind of be
that's
forced
what it
to.
is.
As stim should be expiring any second now,
There
and when
it
it
is.
does, these lings can continue to keep pressure on, and more lings are going to stream in. Every single marine's going to fall.
Okay.
And this is it, man. This is that mid-game ling baneling that I was talking about, and this is so difficult for a Terran player to deal with just because it is so uncommon. Bunker is going to get hammered down. Widow Mine's even going to be focused down. One Widow Mine shot's going to go off on quite a few lings, but this command center is now completely barren. The SCVs have been chased away.
Denying the third base will be so important, especially because that's how Terran really start to apply the pressure. If you can't get your third base up, you're not going to be able to do much. But the big problem I have, though, Ben, is where's the future in the Zerg play? How can he actually continue this constant pressure? Because this Widow Mine count is going to grow and grow and grow. Oh, Zergling's getting into the natural base and the main base. He still didn't lift any of the supply depots. Finally retreating. Neeb in a lot of trouble because it's attacking the main base, attacking the third base.
Yep, beautiful multi-pronged aggression here from Enderr. This is exactly the kind of play that I love seeing in this current TVZ meta, where Terrans are so incredibly greedy and they just exploit the passive Zerg play. By being aggressive, you can offset that so much. And it's so evident at every level. There's only 17 Marines out on the map right now, Andre. That is a pitiful Marine count. And continued ling pressure is going to be very difficult to deal with, so long as these lings don't do something silly like run into a huge Widow Mine shot.
Here we go again.
Front door is still down. We're going to see another run by.
Zerglings coming on in from the left-hand side. They're going to bypass a lot of the Widow Mines.
Brilliant. Not going to be seen until the last second. It does raise just in the nick of time.
But Banelings into the third
clearing
base.
out that third base. Overseer
Beautiful.
overhead actually allows the lings to clean up the Widow Mines. This is just brilliant play from Enderr. High aggression. The first drop revealing itself into the main base. Is there anything back at home to defend? We see something has been sent back, or has anything been sent back?
No, not just yet.
Not just yet, as that drop's going to unload. So a little bit slow on the reaction is Enderr, as he is going to take some damage in the back of his main base. Everything going to run back home right now.
7 meters out on the way out, so he is going to slow transition into that Mutatech, but I think it's very, very obvious that the damage has been done. And this drop, it has a lifeline, right? Or just not a lifeline, a life limit. Since the mutas are going to pop out, it's going to really limit that mobility.
Yep, Zerglings with mutas should be able to shut it down. Will shut it down eventually.
Okay.
At the same time, Neeb's trying to put on a little bit of counter-aggression. We see him scanning in the middle of the map, cleaning up some of that creep spread. This drop does finally get completely cleaned up, and there are a lot of Zerglings out on the map for Enderr. 56 lings against just 21 Marines. That is not enough Marines to be this audacious, Andre. Ender's got to be, or excuse me, Neeb's got to be very careful about how he pushes out on the map, because he could very easily get swarmed and crushed if he's not very, very careful. Now, these Widow Mines are important. They represent the potential for a ton of damage, and there are going to be a couple of good connections, but they're not that good, as the Widow Mines all go down to Speedling, Baneling, and this highly aggressive mid-game Zerg play proving to be very effective. Neeb lifting the command center is going to lose more. Oh, the CC is going to go down. There's no saving it. The Marine count, maybe there is going to be saving it. Just enough Marines left over, chasing those mutas back.
Beautifully done by Neeb there, but as you said, Enderr has the gigantic advantage. It all started at that mid-game stage.
GG, Neeb taps out. Enderr showing us a very cool, highly aggressive variety of ZVT, and this is something that I noticed the Chinese players doing a lot of. I haven't seen it as much from the Koreans or the North Americans, and unfortunately I haven't